Thursday, November 9th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including more on a gang that's targeting cars in affluent communities. Of course, John Kovach joins us today with a look at your forecast and a Nutmeg Sports update, and later on, Donald Eng will take a look back on this day in history. But first, a Milford man upset because he thought a construction worker was working in his neighborhood on a Sunday was arrested after pulling a knife and trying to get that worker to stop. Now, according to police, that incident took place on Tuesday, November 7th, but Miles Sapphire, 48 of Caroline Street, believed it was Sunday. Now, police said the incident happened around 10:45 a.m. They were called to the area of East Broadway and Caroline Street on the report of a threat being made. Well, an investigation led to the arrest of Sapphire, who is accused of threatening to harm the construction worker who was working in that area. Sapphire approached the worker and told him to stop working because Sapphire thought it was a Sunday. Well, the worker asked Sapphire to leave the construction zone, and then Sapphire allegedly pulled a knife out and demanded the man stop working. More on that story at milfordmirror.com. And the News-Times reports today that the car of a 53-year-old Danbury woman who went missing late last month has been recovered by New York police. Authorities said Thursday that a car belonging to Lakira De Lima was located abandoned Tuesday afternoon at the Putnam Diner in Paterson, New York. Now, police did not immediately say if foul play is suspected in her disappearance. De Lima was reported missing by her family members on October 20th. Authorities said De Lima left her home around 5 p.m. on October 20th and was never heard from again. Now, anyone with information on De Lima's disappearance is asked to call police at 203-797-4611. And in other news, in the first 10 months of 2017, Ridgefield police have investigated reports of 11 stolen vehicles. Now, by comparison, between 2014 and 2016, only 3 cars were reported stolen in town. So what exactly is causing this spike in crime? Well, as we've heard from other police officials in New Canaan, Ridgefield Police Captain Jeff Kreitz said a gang of car thieves in Waterbury has made a target of affluent communities with unlocked cars. Now, according to Kreitz, this group is going around at night and in the early morning hours, specifically targeting unlocked vehicles. Now, he added that of the 11 cases reported this year, 8 of them can be traced to Waterbury. Now, while there's nothing sophisticated about stealing a car with the keys left inside, how the criminals cover their tracks suggests a certain level of organization. According to Kreitz, gang members replace one or both of the stolen car's license plates with plates stolen from another vehicle. The plates are either sourced from an abandoned vehicle that won't go missed by the owner, or stolen from the front license plate from a car on the street. Now, a plate scanner in a patrol car would spot the discrepancy, but only if the officer checked that every plate matched the make and model of every car that the officer passed. Now, with the number of cars police pass on the road, Kreitz said it's unlikely that an officer would even notice. You can get a lot more on that story at theridgefieldpress.com. And after a man reportedly approached a female jogger in New Canaan's Waveney Park, tapped her on the shoulder and said something inappropriate, police are recommending that women avoid walking or running alone in isolated parts of Waveney Park. Now, the New Canaan Advertiser spoke to women on Sunday, November 5th around 4:30 in Waveney Park to get their thoughts about walking alone there. Now, none of the women had heard about that incident. Police said they expect to file charges for that episode after a man turned himself into police headquarters on Thursday, November 2nd. He said he surrendered after he saw a news report on the incident, which was first reported on Tuesday, October 31st at about 5:40 p.m., according to police. There's more on that story at ncadvertiser.com. And if you take a close look at one of Monroe's finest, you will see the newest addition to the department dress code, the body-worn camera. Now, all uniformed Monroe officers are now wearing this latest WatchGuard body-worn camera technology, which provides officers the ability to capture high-quality video evidence to aid in criminal investigation and second-by-second accounts to answer potential citizen complaints. Now, Monroe Police Captain Keith White said the goal of the body-worn camera program is to make police work more transparent to the public, adding that the department's move comes amidst a national push for such video devices on officers and in their vehicles. Now, there's a lot more on that story at monroecourier.com. And in other news, the Stamford Advocate reports that the city's first openly transgender lawmaker was voted into office Tuesday, a milestone for the local LGBTQ community that was among the victories of transgender candidates won nationwide on Election Day. 29-year-old Raven Mathern, who is believed to be the state's first transgender lawmaker, won a seat on Stamford's Board of Representatives. She ran as part of the Reform Stamford slate that sought political change on the 40-member board. Mathern said she ran on issues that impact her constituents, such as rising poverty, taxes, and fewer public services for residents in her wooded North Stamford district, and not necessarily that she was the first transgender person seeking a seat on the board. All right, well, switching gears now, we're going to throw it over to John Kovach, who's filling in for Frank Garrido today, and get a look at your forecast. John, it was cold this morning.
I'm not going to make a lot of people happy. Let's get that out of the way. I'm not going to make a lot of people happy, Kate. Mix of sun and clouds today, cooler temperatures, low to mid-50s. We can deal with that. That's almost seasonable. We'll see light wind gusts this afternoon between 8 and 10 miles an hour, but expect gusts to increase later on this evening. And overnight, we could see gusts between 26 and 30 miles per hour before Friday morning. Then, Kate, it's too early to hear the term polar vortex. Ooh. Yeah. Partly cloudy overnight with cold, temperatures falling into the 20s. We could see a passing shower or two before tomorrow morning's commute. Mostly sunny skies Friday to end the work week, but very cold as temperatures sit in the low 30s during the day and will feel closer to 20 with the wind chill. Wind gusts back up in the 30-mile-an-hour range through Friday afternoon. That could play a factor in Friday night football in the FCAC and around the state. I know I've seen one plea online for heaters for the sideline. Players are going to have to learn for the first time to handle cold this season. Clear Friday night, but temperatures will continue falling into the teens before Saturday morning. Plenty of sunshine dawn to dusk around the county. Temperatures still on the cooler side in the mid-30s, much of the same Saturday. Mostly clear skies, temperatures falling back into the 20s. That's going to do it for the weather update. Let's send it back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, John. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Ang will give us a look back on this day in history. John will have your Nutmeg Sports Update, and we have more local news after this.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care gives you direct access to orthopedic specialists fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care can help. Open 7 days a week now at 3 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue, Norwalk, 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien, or in the Westport Medical Center at 323 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Go to coastalorthoct.com. Like them on Facebook.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And right now, during the summer clearance event, you'll find some of our best prices too. Like this lease on a 2017 Ram Quad Cab Express for $149 a month. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Richfield, PambyZone.com.
I'm Tracy Masella, a licensed clinical social worker at Silver Hill Hospital in New Canaan. Join me each month as we talk with experts on the front lines of the treatment of mental health and addiction. Straight Talk with Tracy, a Silver Hill Hospital production, airs at 12 p.m. on the second Thursday of each month here on the HAN network.
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
Welcome back to this November 9th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and it's time to throw it over to Donald Ang to take a look back on this day in history. Don.
Well, Kate, it was probably the most famous reverse construction project in history. First, we're going to go back to 1780, the Battle of Fish Dam Ford near Charleston, South Carolina. 250 British troops launched a surprise bayonet charge against a Continental camp in the pre-dawn hours. They were thwarted by a wooden fence that Brigadier General Thomas Sumter had ordered built. Now, the battle was insignificant unless you're a SEC football fan or a Civil War buff. British General Banastre Tarleton, in his report of a fight against Sumter's men, said the South Carolinians had fought like gamecocks. That is a rooster bred for fighting. Sumter went on to serve 13 years in Congress, and when he retired in 1811, the people of Charleston named the fort in their harbor that guarded the city after him. Fort Sumter, of course, where the first shots of the Civil War were fired. And speaking of the Civil War now, 1862, General Ambrose Burnside assumes command of the Army of the Potomac. Now, Burnside is remembered for two things today: catastrophic defeats like the Battle of Fredericksburg, and unusual facial hair. Originally known as Burnsides, somewhere along the way the word was bastardized as sideburns. Speaking of sideburns, we go now to 1967, 50 years ago today. The first issue of Rolling Stone magazine published with a $7,500 loan. The magazine's inaugural issue investigated the missing money from the Monterey Music Festival. It broke the news that David Crosby had been fired from the Byrds, and it criticized the failure of mainstream radio stations to play recordings by black artists like Wilson Pickett. Its content has varied over the years, but it remains targeted at younger audiences and pop culture. It has a circulation of about 1.5 million today. Finally, now we go to 1989, one of the most significant events of recent history for this.
I'm Peter Jennings in New York. Just a short while ago, astonishing news from East Germany, where the East German authorities have said, in essence, that the Berlin Wall doesn't mean anything anymore. The wall that the East Germans put up in 1961 to keep its people in will now be breached by anybody who wants to leave. The East German media chief in the Communist Party said a short while ago that anyone who wants to leave East Germany and go anywhere in the world is free to do so. Anyone who wants to leave East Germany and travel to the West and return will need a visa, but visas will be granted, it is said, immediately or at least urgently by police stations all over the country. It is perhaps the most important announcement made in Central Europe since the end of World War II, certainly since the wall went up in 19...
There's, of course, the Berlin Wall coming down on this day, 1989, perhaps the most hated symbol of the Cold War. The wall had split the city for a generation. Hard to describe today how big a deal this was at the time. I guess if you imagine North Korea announced tomorrow that there were going to be free elections and that it was going to reunify with South Korea as a democratic free state, if anything, the wall falling was bigger than that. To look back in history for today, November 9th, and I'm Donald Ang.
All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, in other local news, John Visano, well-known area restaurateur, packed the house at Testo's in Bridgeport Monday night for the annual Barnum Festival meeting and ringmaster dinner. Now, Visano, who's the ringmaster for the 2018 festival, announced the beneficiary of this year's events. Take a look.
We're going to bring back the old, mix it with the new, and all of our efforts will benefit causes that mean a great deal to me and hopefully to you as well. I am thrilled to announce some of this year's beneficiaries of the Barnum Festival will be to our area's first responders, the police, fire, AMR, and the area veterans and reserves. Let's give them a hand.
Now, Visano, a Trumbull resident, also heralded this year's events. Check it out.
The Ringmaster Ball, of course, the Great Street Parade, and the fabulous Barnum Festival fireworks display. Mixed in with some new events that we have going, like Thanksgiving Food Drive, the Christmas Toy Drive, and most of all, we're bringing back the Champions on Parade.
Now you can follow Barnum Festival's events throughout the year at Bridgeport area HAN Network news sites. And in other news, obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, is a commonly talked about and often misunderstood disorder. Well, today, Silver Hill Hospital's Straight Talk with Tracy welcomes Molly Norton, a licensed professional counselor who specializes in the treatment of OCD. Now, host Tracy Masella talks with Norton about how intrusive thoughts lead to compulsions or rituals for those with OCD. Norton also discusses the misinformation around the disorder, the diagnosis, and the treatment options. Now, you can watch that show live today at HAN Network at noon. And Veterans Day will be honored in New Canaan with a ceremony on God's Acre and a plaque dedication in Town Hall this Saturday, November 11th. The events are organized by the New Canaan Veterans of Foreign Wars and the town of New Canaan. The call to assembly will be at just 10:55 a.m., just before the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Now, following will be a presentation of colors and Pledge of Allegiance under the direction of VFW Commander Pete Leginas. Now, First Selectman Rob Malazzi will deliver remarks and introduce the keynote speaker, Christopher Tuttle. Now, Tuttle is the son of a U.S. Army veteran, a youth athlete, and member of St. Mark's Episcopal Church and Boy Scouts of America. He's also a 1966 graduate of New Canaan High School and went on to graduate from Colgate University. You can get a lot more information at ncadvertiser.com. And Weston Animal Control Officer Mark Harper is seeking help from Westonites to rehabilitate a rescue dog named Natasha. Now, earlier this year, Harper rescued 2 Caucasian shepherds from a bad living situation in Weston. Natasha and her brother Boris were brought to the U.S. from the country of Georgia last year and weren't properly cared for over a brief period of time before Harper took them. Well, through the work of the Westport Animal Shelter advocates and his own care for the dogs, they slowly became healthier, with Boris making a full recovery. However, despite Boris's good fortune, Natasha has had a more challenging time getting to full health and is in need of surgery on her hips. Now, the total cost of that operation is over $20,000. According to Harper, every time Natasha starts to play, it either hurts her too much or her hips luxate out of their sockets due to the severity of the hip dysplasia. She's only 16th month old, but Harper said she's not really had a chance to be a puppy. Well, he needs help for Natasha in 2 specific ways. One is financial donations, and the other is helping him create and advertise a crowdsourcing page to get the word out. Now, you can find out more information and how to help at thewestonforum.com. But all right, we're going to throw it back over to John Kovach now for your Nutmeg Sports Update. John.
Thanks, Kate. We're into the Class XXL Boys Soccer Tournament. Among others, yesterday, number 20 Norwalk beats number 29 Fairfield Ward 2-1. Up next for the Bears, 5th-seeded Ridgefield. The Tigers needing double overtime to get past 21st-seeded Staples, 1-0. New Milford, the 7-seed, falls to 23rd-seeded Danbury, 2-1. That also in double overtime. The Hatters next face 2nd-seeded Glastonbury. Shelton out of the SCC edges Trumbull. The 3rd-seeded Gales, a 2-1 victory over the Eagles. Up next for Shelton, 6th-seeded Farmington, which blanked Greenwich 1-0. Greenwich, the 11th-seed, Farmington, the 6th. We'll be live this afternoon from Darien High School for the 2nd round of the Class XXL Girls Soccer Tournament. 8th-seeded Darien will host 9th-seeded Shelton. Again, it's 2 o'clock start. The HIN Network will be on the air with pregame at 1:45. Frank Renito and Kevin Coleman on the coverage. That'll do it for this Nutmeg Sports Update. Let's send it back over to Kate.
Thanks so much, John. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, we're going to preview our HIN Network front pages this week, right after this.
New Canaan Foreign Car. Yes, New Canaan Foreign Car has been servicing all makes of foreign cars for over 50 years. We also buy, sell, and consign cars too. We can help you with all your automotive needs from service to sales. Call us at 203-966-2681.
At Portofino Restaurant and Wine Bar in Bethel, fresh and simple food is our concept. Owned and operated by brothers Rocco and Louie, Portofino has a distinct and diverse food and drink menu. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Come join us for live local music on Tuesdays and Sundays, Wednesday nights for mouthwatering prime rib, and every Thursday night is Ladies' Night. Planning a party? All our catering menus are personalized to suit your event and your budget. Join us at the Dolan Plaza, 213 Greenwood Ave, Bethel, and call us at 203-797-8131. Like us on Facebook.
Welcome back to this Thursday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. Kate Czaplinski with John Kovach, previewing now our front pages this week. And John, it's a lot of election news, of course.
All election news, which to me, it is a sign of the passing of the season.
Yes.
You're through the election. Now you can start to think about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving starts the holidays. But the election obviously dominating the front page. It was a quiet election, but a big one in Easton that we didn't get a chance to talk a lot about in our coverage Tuesday night. But you had, in the one contested race, Democrat Maureen Williams unseated longtime Republican incumbent and current board secretary Catherine Gombos. Our Nancy Doniger was told that this was the first time since 2003 that the Democrats won a heads-up race against the Republicans in Easton. So that on the front page, as well as news about a new solar array, a Safe Rides program that is being started by some students at Joel Barlow High School, and Joe Barlow students performing Noises Off.
All right, well, I'm taking a look at the Trumbull Times this week, and it's a victorious night for Democrats on Tuesday. Of course, Vicky Tesoro winning the first selectman seat, and Democrats doing very well, picking up several seats on the town council as well. Also, a great photo of the St. Joseph Cadets celebrating after winning the FCAC Girls Soccer Championship. Michael Redgate, the unaffiliated candidate who ran for first selectman, happy with the showing that they made, so more on that. Town secures $2 million for the Pequannock Trail, and more on shots fired in an apparent Halloween dispute.
Democrats won top seats in Wilton in the election Tuesday, that leading the Wilton Bulletin. Police have identified the source of an anti-Semitic note found in the middle school there. That has sparked a lot of discussion and events. A new ambulance in service with the Wilton Volunteer Ambulance Corps, and a new wing at Stamford Hospital with options for knee and hip surgery.
All right, taking a look at the Milford Mirror this week, more interesting election news there. Democrats actually grabbed some seats from Republicans in Tuesday's election, but Joanne Rowring, who is the town clerk, was able to hold on to her seat. She's a Republican and was able to keep that. Also, parade speaker at a recent Veterans Day event discussing NFL protests, actually saying that taking a knee is a form of patriotism. I know Jill Dion also had some video from that event. DEP follows death of diseased deer. Students turn Laurelton into an archaeological dig site. That's just some of the news on the front page of the Milford Mirror this week.
In Shelton, Republicans won big. A lot of new faces on the boards there. Breaking news as we went to press that the denial of the burlesque-themed cafe before even reaching planning and zoning. That's a story that's been really changing by the minute. Our Aaron Berkowitz on top of it. Spooner House looking for donations to feed the hungry. And we're going pink in the valley, and everybody's getting in the act.
All right, taking a look at the Weston Forum. Weston, one of the towns where Democrats won big. Chris Spalding, a Democrat, unseating the incumbent Nina Daniel in the first selectman's race. So some photos and more coverage of that. Also a story we just mentioned, and that's help sought for a disabled dog. And All My Sons, the play, taking the stage.
Democrats also dominating the election in Reading, winning seats on the Board of Education, and in a heated three-way Board of Finance race. We also have a group of fathers that got together and, well, they formed a band. Interesting story there, and another the safe ride story that we had in the Easton paper. You can tell it's election week.
Yes. All right. The Darien Times, a nice photo of a rowway in rainbow. Monday night offered a selection of rainbows throughout the area, so one photo of that. Also, Jamie Stevenson, of course, earning her 4th term, and her opponent, Rob Richards, losing his seat on the Board of Selectmen. Old Town Hall Homes redevelopment process there, leaving some residents unsettled, and the Stephen Mather Homestead holds its first Harvest Festival. That in the Darien Times this week.
Democrats winning seats on boards in Ridgefield as well during Tuesday's election. The speaker at the Veterans Day ceremony there will be a soldier turned nurse. Grants could help realize a vision for Branchville. Neighbors of Regency will have won their challenge of a 2015 plan to build a contractor's yard there, and the Children's Hour is going to open tonight. That'll be the play at Ridgefield High School.
All right, take a look at the Monroe Courier. Republicans doing very well in the Monroe election. Ken Kellogg capturing the 1st Selectman seat. Also more on Steve Vavrick, the outgoing Republican 1st Selectman, and his legacy in town. The Monroe Historical Society presenting its collection of apparel and artifacts during a recent event. And police body cams. More on that in Monroe.
Probably the most exciting race we followed Tuesday night, Kate, was in New Canaan, where Kevin Moynihan, the Republican, won the 1st Selectman seat by 33 votes over Democrat Kit Devereaux. We have coverage of that in the New Canaan Advertiser. Beautiful picture of a rainbow over Sachs Middle School. Yeah. A story you just brought us about the Veterans Day ceremony. They always do a great ceremony in New Canaan. It's very touching. They always have a veteran speak. And discussion of possibly using the Outback Teen Center building for New Canaan's alternative learning program.
All right, taking a look at the Stratford Star this week, another exciting election we were following Tuesday night, and that's that Laura Hoydick will be the town's first female mayor. She's also the Republican candidate. Republicans doing quite well in Stratford on Tuesday night. They're going to be running the town council. And a nice feature on the 5th annual Vicky Soto 5K run. Would have been on Vicky Soto's 32nd birthday.
In our arts and leisure section, we'll get the lowdown on Lo Mein from Tina Marie Craven, and we'll look at the Jewish history of Greenwich, Connecticut.
All right, and just a quick look at the Home Monthly out in all our papers this week. Great time of year for it right before Thanksgiving, including a feature on Thanksgiving table centerpieces. So very timely right now. All right. And John, we do have Yankee Fisherman coming up today.
Couple of big guests today, Kate. I have the new president of the International Game Fish Association. We're going to talk about some new programs that they have, including a global contest. And then we'll have Jeff Yates from Trout Unlimited, and we'll talk about the Embrace a Stream program, which is a national program, but it allows you to target your donation to a stream that is special to you.
All right, and we have a very fascinating episode of Straight Talk with Tracy coming up at noon on OCD. Be sure to check that out. And of course, soccer later today at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
All right, we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break. Have a great day.